What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy BT, and today we've got the MDX here and we are due for a towing package installation. This is long overdue, so we've got all the parts that we need and we're gonna go ahead and get right into this install. All right, so here we have the trailer right here. We've got some instructions here, 20 pages worth of installation goodness. We're going to try to simplify that for you today. So here are the parts that we have. We have the cover piece here that is going to replace the current one to make space for the connection points here with this harness. With this one, we opted to go ahead and install the hands-free kit as well. So in essence, it's a pretty straightforward from a parts perspective. You've got the hitch that we showed you. We've got the harness. We've got the addition of this and the cover. So let's go ahead and see what's involved with this installation. Now, from looking underneath here, the instructions say that we need to take off the bumper to do this installation. We're going to see if we can save you a lot of time by not having to do that. But as you can see here, we've got some clips that's holding this in place. The only thing that we're going to need here is a 10mm to take these out. So we're going to have to work with these to get these out. But if we can get those out, we're in pretty good shape. So let's go ahead and start with getting this removed. All right, so what we're going to do is release these clips here. I'm just using a flathead for this. That should be pretty straightforward. And then for the actual little bolts that are in here, I'm going to use a 10 to remove these. And you can see once you get it loose, you can unscrew it. So we should be able to get the top ones out without any issue. All right, so once that's loose, I'm just gonna put my finger in here, try to unscrew the rest. All right, so that was a success. We were able to get that out. Again, you can see here, it is a tight space to work, but we're actually able to get that out with ease. So I don't think, at least for this piece, we're definitely not gonna need to remove the bumper for this. There you go. All right, so to remove the rest of this, you can see these little tabs here. We're just gonna push on these tabs. Just gonna push on these little tabs here to get this thing released, and then we will have it fully removed. So as we push on these tabs, we're actually gonna push this towards us to release it. So there we have that piece released. This section here released. We'll put a little pressure on it from the back side here so we can get it wedged out. But there you have it. So now we've got this section fully removed and ready for the hitch install. So here's the hitch. These bolts here are an 18mm. This piece right here is actually not too heavy. If you got help, you can take the help to actually get it installed. But other than that, you should be able to hoist this up in the air, get a few of those bolts set, and then you're good to go. So as far as the bolt installation order, this is the order they want you to go. So this is the driver's side. You're gonna start there. You're gonna go over to the passenger, come here, go here, come here, go here. And that's the order that they want you to tighten it in. They say to tighten it to an initial 32 foot-pounds or 43 Newton-meters in that same order. And then you can tighten them down at a full 63 foot-pounds or 83 Newton-meters. All right, so here are the bolt holes that we're gonna be aligning this to. So we're gonna go ahead, bring the hitch in and get it hoisted up and bolted down. All right, so once we got everything semi-aligned here, I'm gonna go ahead, grab a bolt and start getting it in place here. All right, so now we're gonna do the initial torquing. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move this, get this out of the way. Then to get this piece up here, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get a little plastic prying tool here. Okay, so now that we got that up, we should be able to lift this here. Just pull up. So we're just gonna grab up underneath this section right here and just kind of pull up. You see those clips right there? Those get released. And that gets us access into this area here. The way that this harness comes, it is actually, this particular harness is pre-wired for the kick access. So what we're gonna do to prep for that is we're also gonna get this piece removed here. So let's go through the steps of taking this off. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this area taken apart here. First thing, remove that. Next thing, we have a screw here. We're gonna remove that screw. This section here, you can just kind of pop that out. And then it gives you access here, so you can pull from here, you can pull from here, and we can get this whole thing released here. All right, so we've got that out. You can kind of see here all the clips. Now specifically on this piece, if you look at the instructions here, they tell you to put the template in and to drill out a hole. There's no template here to drill out any hole. So what we're gonna do is basically look roughly at the spot here. That spot looks like it's gonna be somewhere right about here. So when we turn this over, we can kind of see it's probably gonna end up somewhere right in that region there. So what we're gonna do is, based off of this, we're gonna just end up having to wing it here. So while we have that off, we're gonna drill out that 26 millimeter hole there. We're gonna go ahead, pick a spot here and drill it out. All right, so we've got our piece here. So I'm just gonna kind of lay this down here. All right, so before I slide this in there, I'm gonna go ahead and take my little file, kind of clean up that hole. Make it nice and smooth so the button will slide nicely in there. Here is the button that will be installed. All right, so here's our button. Go ahead, slide it in there, and make sure it's working good. Since we weren't given a template, from the edge of the little mark there, you're going to want to put the center of your hole probably at least 1.5 inches or more over to the left. And the reason you want to do that is so that you can clear this point right here. So again, if you put this at least the center of your hole 1.5 inches or more, let's say 2 inches over, you should be good to go. All right, so here's the remaining of the kit. I'm going to go ahead, get our pieces here together. So we know we're going to feed this up from the bottom. There's our little plug here, seal, to go in that space where we take the plug out. The rest of the wiring will sit up front here. And we can see that from the looks of it, this is probably going to be our wire that goes towards the button. This right here is our little fuse setup. These are both the same, so you can't mess anything up there. All you gotta do is slide those in place. So those are good to go. All right, so what we're gonna do, it looks like right here, this is our little plug here. So we're gonna pop that out. All right, so here's our location here. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna leave this black wire down, but we're gonna feed up the rest of the wires. The other black wire will go to our hands-free unit. So all we're gonna do now is feed these wires up through the hole and get this little plug set in place. So that's what it should look like when it's fully installed. All right, so from our kit here, I'm gonna grab these parts right here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and we're gonna get this set in place here. So we're gonna be sliding it between this section here. We slide it in like so. And then we're gonna take these bolts and get them snug in place. And also notice that these bolts are different. So the one that's fatter at the bottom, we're gonna put that on the right, and the one with nothing, we put on the left. And these should be a 10 millimeter. Alright, so after our wire's fed, if you notice here, there's a little arrow on here. You can make sure that's facing to the front. What we're going to do here is we're going to take this and we're going to ground it right here on this spot here on the frame. Okay, and next we've got the rest of this to couple in with the harnesses here. So there's a little filler here. We're going to plug that out. And this new one will go right in here. Then these two will hook into the harness coming from underneath. So those are in place. Then next up, we've got this module here. Now this seems to have a little bracket that comes with it. So there's probably a spot to mount that. I didn't notice anything in the instructions about that. But this box, this will plug in here. So that's in. Then the only thing left is for us to route this wire underneath here to where it's going to plug into the back with that button there. All right, so after we route this underneath, sure everything is sitting good there. So this is route underneath. Then we get our panel here, and we can see this will plug right into this spot here. So we'll go ahead and get that plugged in. So with that plugged in, we can go ahead, slide this back in place. Alright, so looking around, I can't really find a spot where this bracket would go, so we're just going to kind of leave that here. There is this little clip here. I'm going to slide this into the right spot here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn this and snap it in place right there. So there's 4 fuses in here, and based off of this, we have a trailer charge, we have a trailer small light, we have a trailer hazard, and then we have a trailer backlight. So just go ahead and drop those fuses in their respective locations. And then for any of the remaining spots, just go ahead and put some zip ties wherever you'd like to kind of keep the wires nice and tight. So I went ahead and just zip tied this unit here to the wire, keep everything nice and tight there. So now we're just going to go ahead, cut off the end of these zip ties and button everything back up. Alright, so here's our hands-free unit. We're going to go ahead underneath and get this thing bolted in place. So here's the trim for underneath. This is actually where the unit will sit, right here in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to screw this in here first, and then we're going to get this thing installed underneath. So we have 2 screws here, and these 2 screws go right in these 2 holes up here. So before we install this, you can see here, this needs to be removed. It looks like we're gonna have to take a blade and kind of slice those thin pieces there to get it out. All right, so we got us here a nice, fresh, sharp blade. All right, so now that we got that cut out, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean these edges up, and then we're ready for the install. And before we do the installation, we also need to grab the parts from here and transfer them over to the new one. All right, so the final piece here is to get this reinstalled right here. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna slide this over the spot where it needs to be, and then we're going to go underneath and kind of tuck everything in and clip everything in place. All right, so change of plans. In order to get this in, what we're going to do is we're going to tilt one side in first, so get one side seated in, and then as you get to the center, just kind of wedge it in place, and then once you get to the end, we should be able to kind of just bend, bend it so it gets in past the edge here. You might have to push on the outside and bend a little bit. There we go. So then once you get that past there, you can make sure you're clearing the outside. Make sure that's getting underneath. You might have to pull down on the new cover, kind of push out on the bumper to get everything cleared. And again, this is all for the sake of not having to release the bumper to do this. So just be patient, and I promise it'll be worth it. You'll just have to work each tab at a time to get it over the edge of the bumper there. And this is what it'll look like once you've worked all the tabs over the top of the bumper. Now we're ready to go back underneath, push it forward, and lock it in place. Okay, and the last piece left on this now is to plug in the harness here. So here's the harness for the unit. Plug that in place. And then what we can do is we'll go ahead and we'll zip tie that so it's out of the way. Yeah, we'll add 2 zip ties under here. Keep everything nice and out of the way. And we should be good to go there. But before we do the zip ties, we're going to go ahead, put our clips back in here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so hope you guys enjoyed the install of the hitch and the hands-free. So when you're walking up and you've got those groceries and you need to open the vehicle, you just go ahead and give it a swipe and everything comes up a-okay, a-alright. It's your boy BT. Thank you for checking out this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.